Real African stories and real African experiences. This is the Legally Clueless video series. And in this episode, Sinitta shares about her experience with colorism and building a platform for African-made cosmetic brands.
So I remember in primary school, I was about 8 years old. I went to school in Kenya, and me and my friend we used to play tennis at school. And I remember we were coming down, we used to call it down the field in school. We were coming up from playing tennis, and I remember there were these two boys, and one of them came and grabbed me, and he was basically like, this one is my girlfriend. The other boy was like, that one, black as charcoal. Me, I like this one. And my friend was very light-skinned. And that, for me, was the point that I knew that colorism existed. At the point, I was just like, what? What? And then things started to set in that it's not like, because I thought about charcoal and I was like, that doesn't sound very like glamorous. And then things started to set in that it was a negative connotation. So other experiences, like in high school, of course, high school years, I remember there was this one girl that was actually using, do you guys remember Fair and Lovely? Anyway, she was using Fair and Lovely. And I think she was putting it on her face. This was in high school. And I walked in, and I think, I don't know how it came up in conversation, but then she was just kind of like, yeah, this is Fair and Lovely. You should get some, basically offering me like a way to become more beautiful. There was another dude in high school. We were in art class, and I remember in art class we had like a huge window above, and I was sitting directly under that window, and I remember hearing people just like burst out laughing, and I was like, I didn't know. I was just like, whatever. So I was just like, I think I asked my friend like what was said, and it was actually, when I actually think about it, because sometimes I don't like to really recall those high school stories. But like, when I think about that experience, I'm just like, whoa, because I remember I asked my friend what was said, and she was like, nothing. And then it became a bigger thing because she said nothing. I was like, hiya, but people started laughing. What you mean nothing? And this was in a country where like their language is not like a language that I understood. So I was like, I don't know why I had to disclose it. It's not the CIA, it was Malawi. So anyway, I went to high school in Malawi. I couldn't understand what was said, so I kept on probing my friend to kind of give me the information. And she was like, eventually she was like, okay, he said that like you should not sit under the sun because that way I'll get darker. And I remember just like, also conversations, sitting with friends, trying to explain to them what colorism is. One of my closest friends, I used to call her one of my closest friends. When I told her about my experiences, her response to me was, everybody goes through colorism. It's also like it's those moments where, sometimes I feel like Black women's experiences, to be honest. And I say Black women because of my own experiences have not been validated. Like, I went through these genuinely hurtful experiences. And whenever I try to have conversations with people about them, I have been, is it gaslighting? Is it? People have basically told me that that's not what happened. It happens to everybody. It's this, it's that, it's the other. It's not real. It's not in your face, and it's not actually happening. And to be honest, like, imagine if you were told that with racism. It's like, imagine like a Black person being told, no, actually, no, we're not good. This is not a racist moment that you're experiencing. This is all in your head. That's actually what it is like for me. And it just, when I started to realize that there were more women that were going through this, the thought of like a young Black girl feeling the way I did actually just, it it brings up the emotions of the way I felt. And I'm just like, that can't happen. Those emotions of like not being good enough. Not being good enough. I think there's also other life experiences that just kind of compounded to it. Yeah, to be honest, like that feeling of not being good enough because you don't look a certain way, your hair doesn't curl in a certain pattern, you know, eventually, like the sadness, the embarrassment, because it's embarrassing as well, you know, it's like the embarrassment, it compounded to feeling as though I can't do certain things. I'm happy that I've grown past that. I was able to fall in love with myself. And like by kind of like also seeing other people's experiences and feeling mine, I was able to also just kind of like, along with my love for, I guess, my continent that I've grown up all over, I kind of reached a point in like, and I guess like we all do, you know, you reach a point in your career or your job and you're just like, okay, what is it, you know? And like, what am I doing? Right. I wanted to start making content using African-owned brands. You know, sometimes you get an idea, I call them downloads, and it's just perfect and it fits everything together. So one day I was just like, okay, what am I gonna do? Like what makes me feel good? And when I thought about African-owned, to be honest, for me, buying African-owned is not just, it's not just buying something. For me, it's like, I don't sound like a patriot or anything, but it's also, for me, it's like, I'm almost like serving a duty, you know? I'm like, yes, an African person has made some money. An African person has made some money, you know, like put it back into the economy, you know, like for me, that's what I see. I see the long term in buying into African owned, you know. For me, when I thought African owned, I was just like, that's it. Because for me, anything that means celebrating us, celebrating anything that we created, that meant that was something that I'm willing to serve. That's something I'm willing to commit to. So what I decided to do then was like, okay, so what can I do, you know? And to be honest, I love creating content. I thought, okay, if I'm to sort of like serve in any way, the best way I know how is like me being a fish in water and just creating some great visuals and like using things with African-owned brands. So I started a series called The African Beats. Do you see what I did there? Because you call it a face beat, African beat, yeah. Anyway, so I started a series of posts called The African Beat, where I just basically created makeup looks using my favorite African-owned products. And the more I kind of got into this project, the more I was just kind of like, you know, you get into like that idea comes in and you're like, that's what I'm gonna do. And then you start like, you know, thinking, I was like, what do I need? Oh my God, I need like products. Where can I find products? So I started looking for products and there was this brand I remember called Juba Cosmetics. I remember I saw their eyeshadows, like foil eyeshadows. If you're a makeup artist, you'll understand what I'm saying. If you're a makeup enthusiast, you'll know as well. But these foil eyeshadows, they look so beautiful, create like a sort of metallic sort of finish. And I remember thinking, oh my God, this is lit. How do I get that here? And then at that point, I realized that I had a need that I wanted to serve for myself. And if I had that need, how many other people would have that need? And at that point, Nebia was born. So Nebia is my baby. Nebia is a platform that I launched in 2019 that retails exclusively African-owned makeup brands, and we're morphing more into like makeup artistry services, but using exclusively African-owned brands. The whole point of Nebia for me is, it's more about makeup. The goal is to put African-owned products in African people's hands. There's some products that come into the African market that are subpar, and they're sold into the African market. Products that are not made with us in mind. And what I'm trying to do, even just past looking at products being made for us, there seems to be this misconception, I'll call it, that African-owned is second-rate. And what putting African-owned products specifically into African people's hands, for me, is about pushing the narrative of self-love. I have traveled all over Africa, and then I went and I basically lived in England for a few years. But okay, going to England and now being introduced to different Black cultures, I came to learn that in schools in England, Black people were like an insult in schools where I think they would call Black people Africans. So now, like, if you're African, they would like really go in on you. There's also like a misconception of like being African in the diaspora, to be honest, you know? So Nebia to me sounded like the perfect thing to be, because I can't lie to you, I am so happy that my spirit is embodying an African girl's body, despite all of the things that I have been through. To be honest, I would not change any of it. I am proud of my background. I'm proud of who I am. I'm proud of my heritage, and I really just want to show that to the world. When I came back, I basically started a blog called Cultured Ego that basically showcased alternative African fashion and music. And for me, I think my underlying motivation is whatever people feel they think African is being, I'm going to show you the many what die says, many faces of the dice of what being African actually means, you know? There's people that are making cool music, people that are making cool art, people that are doing great visuals, people that are creating amazing choreography, you know? And that's what I want people to know, because that's the life that I lead. There's also, as opposed to people looking at a product and thinking, oh, it's African, made in Africa. I want people to be like, that's for me. So it's about changing the perspectives. It reached a point in my life where I was just I kind of realized that like, that was just a moment in time, you know? Okay, I mean, several moments in time, but then they don't define you. You know, my friend told me, he gave me a perfect analogy, like, we can't be the waves in the water, we're actually the boat. So the boat moves forwards and it creates the waves, but we're not the waves, we are the boat. So always keeping present. And those were only several moments in time that, even looking at me now, as much as it's steered me in making certain things manifest, I don't let it define me. So if I had someone, if I was able to, because that happened to me and I kept quiet about it and I internalized it and it hurt me and I never shared it. So I always kind of think to myself, if I was, I guess, vulnerable enough to open up to someone about that experience, what would I have wanted them to say to me? First of all, you are beautiful. You are beautiful. And that doesn't define you. That's one person that thinks that they are right, but they're wrong. That's not the truth about you. From there, I guess it's to ask, who do you think you really are? At actually every point. I think it would have been nice to hear who I thought I really was. Because now that's actually making me go back and think, who did I think I was until that point? You know? Because I was just a girl that was playing tennis.
Thanks for watching this episode. Remember, you can catch new Legally Clueless video episodes every Friday and new audio episodes every Monday.